Welcome back. Interpersonal communication. Hi. Chapter 4. Chapter 4, the uses and the power of words within our culture. And I don't know, like always, chapter 4 ends with this $1,000,000 question. It's like, okay, so what? Now that we know something about words, how can that knowledge make us better communicators? So, with that in mind, let's launch in and keep on this study of words. In the last video lecture, we talked about denotative versus connotative. Get it in here. At least get it into your notes. We talked about the definition of the word word. All right, now, let's move on. All right, let's move on and let's piggyback just a little bit on the connotative definitions that not all of us share those. Remember, let's take the word dog. Dog, for example. Tony might have this wonderful feeling. When I say the word dog in lecture, Tony might feel good. His connotative definition is a definition undergirded with happiness and delight. Ooh, he's delighted. Sorry. All right. The fact is, Tina, sitting right next to Tony, might be horrified by that word. Tina might have been attacked by a dog when she was 6 years old, 37 stitches, and 4 hospital visits later. Okay, she feels emotionally different. That word to her is emotionally defined differently than Tony. All right, so it begs this statement. Let's talk about we the people. The people have decided what those denotative definitions are. So we the people give the meaning to certain words. Okay? But we also give the meaning to words that aren't even in the dictionary. We really do. To words that we make up. We give power. We give power to certain words. Power. And like I said, certain words are punch in the head powerful. We undergird certain words with things like hatred. We undergird certain words with things like love. We undergird or support certain words with raw, visceral emotions. Okay? Nowhere can we see this better than the swear words in our society, in our community, are swearing. Okay? And let me mute that. Our swearing is a quintessential example. Okay? It's totally random. It's totally random. And little Timmy on the playground gets his mouth washed out with soap, at least he would have in the 1970s. Now he gets time out for saying certain words. Okay? But why? Why? How did they become the most powerful words in our language like that? Let's take the F word. What? And it ain't fun. Okay? It's not fun. But let's discuss the F word if we can. Why? Where did that word come from? Who knows the origin of that word? Okay? We can't trace it back. The best we can do is a 14th century king who gave a license to fornicate or have sex to certain people. He wanted to control the population of his kingdom. The law posted on the post in the middle of the city or in the middle of the town at the time was a consent of the king. You had to have permission or consent of the king to fornicate. It was called fornication under the consent of the king. F-U-C-K, true story. And that's the best we can do. How does some 14th century law become the most powerful swear word right now in 2020 in Lakeville. Okay? Well, the same way we decided that shit was a swear word. Okay? Here's how that was decided. You know, it went along with the East Coast shipping industry, the ships that came across the ocean. If something was flammable or explosive, it had to be shipped high in transit. SHIT, shipped high in transit. It couldn't go in the hull. One spark and all the gases that it off-gassed would explode. The ship would, burn and sink. So things like paint and chemicals and fertilizer would have to be shipped high above deck in the open air. And then when the longshoremen had to go back to work and stop drinking their coffee and smoking and playing cards, they'd have to go out to the boats, and the first thing to come off the boats was the shit. Oh, shit. It's time to go back to work. And that whole feeling became synonymous with, okay? All right. It's arbitrary and random, and we have decided it. You know that the F word was not the most powerful swear word in your great-great-grandmother's time? They didn't. That was a 10-cent word, if it even existed. Listen, the most powerful swear word in your great-great-grandmother's time was damn. It was. Heads would spin. Little Timmy would be, having his mouth washed out with why, What's that? All right, listen. Why? Because back then it literally meant, I want to sentence you to eternal damnation. In other words, I hope your soul goes to hell forever. Damn you to hell. And so then the word damn or damn you or damn it, it was the most powerful swear word. And now it's tossed around, like a 10-cent word. and honestly, you take the F word. The same thing is happening there. It's being tossed around. It'll be where, shit and damn are in 10 more years, maybe 20. Yeah, it will be. Trivial, trite. And what's going to replace it? What is the most powerful swear word going to be? I don't know. Neither do you. But I know we get to pick. We, the people, undergird certain words with power. Power. We also give the meaning to those words. Meaning and power. Now, the beauty is, if we're giving meaning and power to certain words, we can start to systematically subtract the power behind certain words. We can take the power away from certain words. Okay? But man, that's a long road to hoe. It really is. It really is. All right, I wanted to talk to you about that. Also wanted to give you 3 definitions. 3 definitions. Okay? 3 definitions for today. The definitions of jargon, slang, and regional terms. All right? Well, let's drop this in. Start with jargon. Take a sneaky peek. Jargon is considered technical terms inside a certain job or occupation, a certain sport or a hobby. Jargon, technical terms inside jobs, occupations, sports, hobbies, etc. But they're only specific when used inside those occupations or sports, etc. Okay, pilots have their own jargon. Get it up there, Victor. Pilots have their own jargon. Doctors, teachers have their own jargon. Okay, we have our own words. Well, let's bring it home to you all. If you're playing volleyball, the word set means something completely different than at home when you set the table, okay, for dinner. If you're in the theater, the word set is jargon that is specific to the theater, and it means something completely different than volleyball. If you play tennis, again, the word set is completely different, has meaning only inside the sport of tennis, and that's what I mean by jargon. It's specific to that sport, hobby, or occupation. All right, that one's simple. Regional terms. These are terms that apply only in geographic locations or geographic regions. And they're terms that only mean something inside those geographic regions. Okay, here's one right here. Okay, yep. Pop in Minnesota. Don't try this down in Texas. Don't say I'll have a pop. Okay? Because they don't call this pop down in Texas. You know what they call it? They call it soda. Okay? And honestly, quite frankly, as a matter of fact, that's wrong. In Iowa, they call it soda. Down in Texas, they call every single pop or every single soda Coke. It's true. They call it Coke. Now I'm gonna go get a Coke, and you come back with root beer, or you come back with 7-Up. But they call it a Coke. Okay? All right. Regional terms. It's like the difference in some regions of the United States, they don't call it a couch. They call it a sofa. And in some regions, they don't call it a couch or a sofa. They call it a Davenport. True story, Davenport. All right? And they don't call the footstool a footstool. They call it a hassock. True story. Okay? If you go down south, Louisiana, for instance, that chain link fence that's outside in Minnesota, chain link fence, they call it a hurricane fence. That's where it was invented and why. It stops debris but lets the wind through during a hurricane. It's a hurricane fence. We don't call it hurricane fences up here because it's a regional term, all right? There are so many of those, especially if you expand the regions outside of the United States of America, okay? Like in England, you don't take an elevator, you take a lift. And if you're going to see your lawyer, you're going to see your solicitor. You take the lift to your solicitor's office, okay? And multiply that by about a bazillion. Regional terms, okay? All right? Just look at what we call that thing down the hallway here. We call it a water fountain. You know what they call it in Wisconsin? A bubbler. A bubbler. You ask in Wisconsin, you say, where's the water fountain? They go, well, outside the courthouse. It's, angels peeing, It's, okay. Regional terms. And then there's this one, slang. Slang is an informal language used by a subset of the population. Please don't tell me it's how teenagers speak. Okay, teens are a subset and they do have slang, but every subset has its own slanguage. Trust me on this one. Teachers are a subset of the population, and man, do we have teacher slang. We really do. We really do. And it doesn't match your teen's language. It really doesn't. And the slang words, like any other words, like the leaves on my tree, come, go, and die, and morph, and grow again. Slanguage changes. Slang changes. All right. Some slang terms actually make it into common usage enough so that there is a denotative definition that eventually gets associated with them, like the word cool. Cool has stuck around long enough, right, so that it gets its own, definition, denotative definition. I don't think that's going to be the same with some of the other words that mean cool. Okay? Like a few years ago, if something was cool, we, especially out in California, it was bitchin'. Okay, like bitchin' became a good thing. So did sick. People would say sick shoes. And it was like the first time I heard that, it was like, oh, sick is not a good thing. Sick? But then it is, because it's slanguage. And you, that teen subset, have undergirded that word sick to mean awesome, fabulous, cool. Okay? Look around, listen around. So much slanguage, and you should have a command of it. Okay? You should. But you shouldn't use it outside of that subset, because nobody's going to understand you. All right, campers, trying to keep them to 15 minutes so I don't bore you. All right, keep the smile. I'm going to come back at you. I'm coming back at you with more stuff about words. All right? But for now, hey, have a nice day.